Howdy guys, Attorney Walter Hnot. Now we're going to go right into this video. Now, just a quick heads up. I today got to actually go see a movie, the new Avatar movie. And the bottom line is I haven't seen or been in a movie theater for like, I don't know, I think it's like 7 years. So it was like a big thing for me where I got to finish work, go see a movie, immediately rush back here, and then of course be late to start the actual video that I was doing. I also thought it was really interesting that so many people were like downvoting the whole, how we look at drug users. Should they receive disability benefits? Should they receive disability rights? Where that is, etc. Now, with that said, this is not that video. This is a new video where we're going to be helping out people who call in with Social Security disability questions and basically working with them to go ahead and get them rolling in the right direction. It is free. Anybody that calls in, I'm going to put the phone number right now into the chat section. It's already in there because the moderator, thank you so much, moderator. Excellent, excellent. So the bottom line is this: you call in, we go ahead and run these questions with you. We keep things rolling, and we'll go from there. Now, we've already had somebody call in multiple times. Let me go ahead and call this person real quick. Let's get them rolling so that we can get them on the phone. Remember, guys, to use a fake name when you call in, and then let me know, and I'll ask you the question. Do you want me to run hearing questions with you or answer a question? Let's see if we can get this person on the phone. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube right now. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you, or would you like me to answer a specific question?
Answer a specific question.
Perfect, ma'am. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Carla Scott. I've been dealing with Social Security for the last 12 years. I first became disabled in 2010. So they calculated my benefits in 2012. When I found out later on, I started getting these letters saying that you're overpaid. Well, I've had 3 overpayments since 2012.
Okay.
The first one was waived.
Okay.
It was $364. The second one was to the tune of $2,000. They immediately took it from me. And the third one now I'm paying is $10,000. However, here recently, working on my second appeal after a couple of hearings, is because I'm saying they didn't give me an opportunity to have a recoup hearing before they started taking the overpayment out of my check. I found out after they gave me all of my benefits information, is that they actually calculated my benefits using someone else's Social Security number.
Oh, that's salty. So
Okay.
How did you find that out? Yeah.
Go ahead.
How did you find that out?
I have all the documents. This last hearing that I held, it was remanded, I hope I'm saying the right word, back from Virginia, because they figured it out. Hey, this is wrong. So it came back to the hearing office, but the judge kind of dismissed it. And she was supposed to get all the information for me. But I was persistent, and I kept saying, look, give me the CD of all my benefits. So they emailed it to me via email. And when I opened it up, it took me about a month or so because, if you look at all these different databases that they have for one person, it's kind of crazy, the jargon they use and the code.
Sure.
So it took me a while to figure out the code. But how I figured it out was there was the earned income section, that they use. So when I flipped it over, there was this individual's all of their information. And that number, that Social Security number, had been showing up on the reconsideration notice. I had 3. And every time it would show up, and I kept telling them, whose number is this? This is not my number. And they kept saying, it is your number.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, that doesn't usually happen, but basically, so they use the math from another person's benefits or income.
That's correct.
Okay, gotcha.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
Their first initial excuse was, oh, we calculated your workers' comp benefits, and the offset was blah, blah, blah. And I said, I never got an offset for 2013. Oh, yes, you did. And I didn't. How I found out is because the IRS called me one day because I was trying to figure out who was this Social Security number. Was it mine? Because I know it wasn't mine. Was it attached to my IRS? And the lady called me back and said, we can't give you that information but can you tell us the number? And I told her the number, and she said, there's something going on. We have to send it to the fraud unit.
Mm-hmm. So just to clarify, it sounds like somebody else was working, attributing those earnings to your benefits. And it could be, where I see a lot of fraud happening with this stuff is essentially where somebody will work as part of one of those like people ready programs where it's like, manual labor oriented work. And they will attribute those earnings to some other person, or basically because, they want to go ahead and get them off the books of incoming. So they'll attribute it to somebody else, even if it's not the proper social. So did you ever find out who was, basically paying into this? Like, did you ever obtain the detailed earnings query, the summary earnings query, the new hire query, any of those?
Correct. Clarification. You're saying, do I have the individual's information?
Well, do you have the company that's paying in? Because it sounds like somebody's, paying in. They're assuming you have earnings that are, not actually yours. And so you want to know which company it's with.
Well, all I can say is looking at this data that they gave me, this person was working for the railroad. Is that what you're saying? I'm a little.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it could have been a labor job with the railroad, could have been a conductor job,
yeah,
but
this individual was with the railroad.
Okay.
And I have a government pension.
Okay. Oh, so you got an offset issue there.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the offset took place, they said, okay, we did the offset. Okay, fine. Where is the offset? And when you look in the database that they give you, let me give you the code. It states clearly in the DEQY database, they have all your information. It's several, the DID Wiz database. Well, in that database, it does not know. That's supposed to be your history of everything they did, the money that was transferred to you or whatever. It doesn't indicate how the offset was done, and it doesn't say how much the offset was that was taken out, supposedly. Okay? But yet and still I got a 1099 5 years later saying, hey, we offset your account to the tune of $14,777. I said, couldn't be, because in 2013 I never got anything.
I have a question.
I didn't report anything.
Were all of these the 3 overpayments you got from the same thing, or were they different earnings?
They were supposed to be from the same thing.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
They were supposed to be from the same thing. And I said, how could that be? Because the second one, the first one was waived. They said, oh, okay, we inputted the information wrong. And then the second one came. They said, oh, it was an oversight. We overpaid you, blah, blah, blah. So you owe us close to $2,000. So I said, okay, so do we have a hearing or anything? I looked up, sir, the next few weeks, they snatched it out of the paycheck without a hearing or anything. So I said, okay, in good faith. I said, well, maybe they made an actual mistake. But lo and behold, 6 months later, I get a letter saying, oh, no, you owe $10,000 now.
Federal government's at work charging you. Jeez.
well, okay. So when I went down to the office, I asked, I'm on top of this thing, okay? I asked, so they set me down with a lady, and she said, oh, prior to you coming in, we got a letter from your senator. And I said, well, yeah, because this thing is getting next to me. I'm trying to reach out to find out what is really going on. At that time, sir, I didn't make the connection with that individual that they actually calculated her benefits for mine. So I didn't know. I was grasping at straws. I said, this is not right. So they basically said, we don't care. You owe us, and if you don't pay now, we're going to snatch it out of your, take your whole benefits until you pay this thing off. I said, well, hey, the IRS gives you payment plans. Come on, work with a person. Yeah. So does the SSA.
It's something's going on here. Have you
exactly?
I mean, do you know? Okay, so look, here, not every person that works at the SSA is on the level. Not every person that works at the SSA is above reproach. That's why they have OIG being very active, which is the Office of Inspector General, with people outside of the SSA and also people inside of the SSA. In fact, some of the most prominent individuals at the SSA have been investigated by OIG. So the point here is, I'm not going to go further into that one, but the point here is this. All right, what information have they provided to you about whose benefits or whose money earned this actually, turns out to be? And do you know do you have a financial at this point, timeline as to what they're claiming you earned? Did they give you a financial analysis yet?
For me?
Yeah, for you. I mean, they got to prove that you were overpaid, and they got to show how you were overpaid.
Negative. None whatsoever.
Okay.
None.
So look,
None.
I've run into this before, and the main thing that you've got to do is file a formal complaint with OIG, and then basically go ahead and reach out to the regional field office. The regional field office is much more responsive when it comes to these off normal claim situations. And that's what this is. That's definitely what this is. You also have the math of the pension as well. So you're going to have to reach out to that group. But the main thing is you're going to have to, basically call the regional field office and get them to direct to you the accounting on a year by month basis. So basically you want to know, what did I earn? How did it hurt me? How much did they say I was earning? And then you have to basically go through the thing of filing with the IRS, essentially those earnings as being fraudulent earnings. So then you have to go to the, you can type it into Google. They have the little IRS fraud sheet pops up. And those earnings that were attributed to you, you have to notify the SSA that those are not your, or rather the IRS, you have to notify them that those are not your earnings and submit that to them. That way they can begin investigating their own thing as well. Don't expect this to be fixed in a year. I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't expect this to be fixed in a year. This is going to take at least a year or more.
Well, it's been 12 years. It's been 12 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's like way too long. But the point is, now you know that there's a money source coming in from somebody working that is essentially, and I mean, they're going to be interested in getting their, because remember, they want to file and have their earnings attributed to them so that they get to go ahead and get the benefits that come from it. Or it could be an under the table gig where basically they don't want to know. They just want the max amount of money they can get and they don't want to get taxed. It could be that too. But you need to reach out to the IRS, your federal government group when it comes to your retirement benefits, also your SSA for your disability/retirement and the future benefits. And you got to reach out to the local regional field office to get the accounting letter. Because if you don't have that accounting letter, you don't know on a month by month how much you've been hit with that are earnings that have nothing to do with you.
Okay. So the last question I have to you right now as we speak, the second appeal remand is in Virginia. They have not looked at it because they said it's a paper case. Yeah. It's been there since March 17th of last year.
Yeah. Do you know what a paper case is? Do you want me to give you a little walkthrough as to what those are?
Yes, please, because all of a sudden it's a paper case.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Paper cases happen very rarely. They're becoming more and more rare, and they suck. And what they are is that they have somewhere a big envelope. And in that envelope is all of your stuff. It is what they used to do 20 years ago. That's when the machine had some entry issue problem, or they just had to process it, but they couldn't get it going and they couldn't get it digitized. Ultimately, that whole thing will get digitized. But during the adjudication process, it is a giant mega folder. And we have them with hearings and stuff like that, where the attorneys, when they would have a disability hearing, would have to go into the local, OHO hearing office. We called it something different, but we called it ODAR back then. And then what we would do is we'd have to literally scan or just review the documents there and then hand them back to the hearing office staff, the receptionist, and then basically go ahead and just do the hearing with whatever we could grab from the file. So my point to you here with this whole situation is it's going to be slower because of the paper file. But the fact that it's a paper file is probably very telling to say that this is something that there's a lot of things wrong with it and somebody has to sit down and figure it out. Now, with that said, if you can push to get it converted into an exhibit system, like our digital exhibit system, it will speed it up. However, your most important thing here is you need to prove what was not your income. And then if you did potentially have any income, you need to basically spend time going through essentially what are not countable. They're non-countables, right? It's things that came in that you don't have to get injured by them financially. And then also there's other things that are deductible. So if you do have any earnings, there's those two types, the deductions you can do, and then those that are non-countables that might have been counted. Now, with that said, and this is important, When you get the financial analysis, it's not going to be super detailed. It's just going to be like the month to month, this much money came in as earnings, therefore we're reducing your benefits by this much. So you're going to have to learn what the offsets are for each program that was affected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So I've got my homework.
Yeah, but it's good homework because, $10,000 being owed to the U.S. Treasury via and through the SSA or any retirement system, that's not good. That's a no bueno,
And sir, what I'm really, my other concern is that I've had 3. So once this one is paid off, they can hit me with another one.
Well, realistically, I don't know if the 3 are attached, but it sounds like they could be. And if they are attached, you have to wonder the financial amounts. One's in the hundreds, one's in the 1,000, one's in the 10,000. So you've got to think, okay, this person that was attached, maybe they did a little job, then maybe they did a bigger job, and now they're on a career path where there's 10 grand in there that's hurting you. So if it's all related to the same people, you can go back and reopen those and request that basically an adjudicator go ahead and pay you back those funds that which they took out. So, just keep in mind, you don't want to just get essentially for the year of the 10,000 one. You want to get all the way back to 2012 forward for the month-to-month payment, because that's crucial to know what happened.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, madam. Well, you have a wonderful night. I'll go to the next call and I'll catch you later.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So interesting thing with that type of claim, I have seen situations where, people have essentially income attributed to their retirement through the government or their disability benefits and things like that, or wipes out their SSI. I've seen that before. It is an unholy, terrible problem because it takes forever to fix it. It takes forever. And there's multiple mega agencies, not like little ones where they don't get that much contact and you can reach out and stuff. All right, so we got another one real quick. Let me get this real quick. Okay, and we are on speaker mode. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Can I help you out with either answering a question or running hearing questions with you? Go ahead. Oh, are you there? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. We got it on speaker. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that better?
Super. Yeah, that's perfect. Whatchamacallit? Walk me through what is your legal question, or if you'd like me to do hearing questions, we can do that too.
Okay, well, what I'm basically wondering is I already have disability. I am 42. I've been on it since I've had SSDI since I was 29.
Okay.
What I'm coming to is this situation where it's only me and my mom that's left. And we're trying to figure out a way. Do we need a trust fund? I don't know if this is any kind of question I need to ask you. I don't know who else to ask. I love watching you. You're so helpful.
Sure.
And I just figured you could at least point me in the right direction of how to start making my financial self safe in a way, I guess.
So give me a little background story so I kind of understand what's going on, who the players are, what kind of money level we're dealing with. Like, walk me through it.
Okay, money level is low income. Basically, it's me. I make, I think, $1,300. I don't know, what am I supposed to on disability a month. My mom only gets her, I think it's like 15 or something, 1,500. Basically, what I would like to do is find a way to, help us financially, as far as whatever will not count against my disability, because I need the insurance because I'm very unhealthy.
So are you on Medicare right now or no?
What?
Are you on Medicare right now or no?
Yes, absolutely. I am. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know if this was the right place.
So
I know you help disabled people. I've been accepted. I'm on disability. I have all the Medicare. I have all the stuff. I guess I'm needing just a point in the right direction of where do I go for what happens next. Does somebody who's on disability, I used to have a payee. I got out of having a payee, but do I need to have some sort of a lawyer or an accountant or something to help with the will and the probate and all this stuff with my mom Can you just tell me who I need to? I'm just so lost. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, real quick, when it comes to essentially receiving, you know, I mean, sometimes it's inherited, and you have to be careful with how they categorize it because it could be considered accountable income against you. So basically, what this comes down to is, and you're saying, hey, you know, when these funds come around, do I set up a trust? You know, is there a trustee? Who's the trustee? All that stuff. What I would do for this question is reach out to a wills, trust, and estates attorney to basically set up a trust for you. To go ahead and because they'll know how to word it correctly so that the least financial destruction will come to you, so that the conversion of funds from essentially any income options to resources will be swift, because you don't want something that's just constantly paying you income. You do not want that. And you don't want something that might be considered, like an investment thing that pays out, that's not income, that's countable versus it might be countable. You don't want that. Go talk to a wills, trust, and estates attorney to set up essentially a trust that can distribute the funds to you in the most proper way to have the least reduction of your benefits, so that whatever does come to you in an income fashion can be converted almost immediately into a resource.
Okay, so that way, basically I need a middleman, kind of.
Well, I mean, a trust fund, a lot of people use trust funds, man. It's just, when you're talking about funds being essentially brought over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're
coming, okay, I'm somebody who has no financial, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I'm not good at any of this kind of stuff. I'm an only child. I just want to be prepared.
Right.
And
so, and here's the deal. How much in funds, how much in assets are we talking about here? They're going to be brought over from, your parents' generation and then redistributed to you. Like what amount are we talking about here? What kind of big, small, medium, it doesn't matter, but what kind of funds are we talking about?
Okay, really, there's no funds. It's basically just her house. We live in a small town, so I've got my house, then she's got her house down there with 3 of my dad's old trucks and her car, and then I have a vehicle.
Okay. Oh, I got a chubby dog over here.
Since I'm the only child, I just don't know what I'm going to have to deal with.
So. Yeah,
as far as
I would do a wills, trust, and estates situation. They'll set up in the best way for you to receive those items and potentially distribute them. Because remember, you want the intent of what happens to those items upon death and transfer to be dealt with in the least financially harmful way to your benefits. Now, you're SSDI, not SSI, correct?
Correct.
All right, so make sure the wills, trust, and estates attorney knows that right up front, because that is going to be crucial. And make sure he understands SGA limitations. Make sure he understands the difference between essentially countable versus non-countable income that could potentially harm you. Make sure that they are aware of sort of the disability limitations. A lot of these, wills, trusts, and estates, attorneys are, but that's their bread and butter, is just writing up these trusts to go ahead and have those assets transfer into them, so that upon death they will basically be transferred so that they don't harm you financially that much.
Okay. So in a little town in Oklahoma, what would be the best way to find a trustworthy, are there people at my local bank who can do this?
No.
No.
What? Nope. You don't rely on the bank tellers or the set up the account people. You so just go on to one of those attorney websites like avvo.com and search for your area, and then you might have to widen the search based off of how many wills, trusts, and estates attorney are in the area, and then basically go ahead and do a search to see who in your area can do a wills, trust, and estate for that particular purpose. And they'll be able to set them up, and they'll charge a fee. But remember, Tom, it's a not a ton of funds. It's one of these situations where the transition of assets, you want to make sure that's the least harmful to you and whoever. Are there any other siblings that are going to be taking, or no?
No, I am an only child. I'm the last. It's just me and her.
Okay, so
that's it.
It's a simple trust. They should be able to set it up without issue. Just make sure you get a list of the assets first. That way they, you make their job easy. What do you want done? Least financial harm to you. What are all the assets? Make a list of all the things that are going to transfer. How do you want it to happen? Well, we create the trust upon death. Trust, does this, blah, 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 blah. This is the trustee. This is a backup, yada, yada.
Well, is there a certain sort of, like, accreditation or, letters after their names that I should be looking for? I know there's, like, fiduciary. I'm supposed to look for that. Anything to do with that? This is an attorney. Did they have any sort of, I don't want to get duped by anybody.
Well, here's the first thing I would do. I would go ahead and ask them the following questions, because whether they have an accreditation or not is not going to dictate whether or not they know about how disability interacts with trust funds. So the first questions I would ask them are, do you know how my SSDI benefits could be reduced by assets that I would receive from a parent who passes away? That would be the first question I would ask them. And if they're able to answer that, then basically that's a good sign you can continue forward. But, and my point to you is this: not all people who receive that, whatever certification or specialty postdoctorate masters, are going to know about this little niche. So I would ask them first off, how will my SSDI benefits, my traditional disability benefits, be reduced or injured or, whatever, as a result of receiving, money, assets, whatever, from a parent who passes away?
Right. Okay. That totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Another weird question was, she was wanting to start like a craft thing, kind of, and I was wondering, if we did like an Etsy or a print on demand or something like that, and she's wanting, and we start like a little, just throw up a couple designs or something online, and then we all of a sudden get money from that,
Sure.
What happens?
So, I mean, a lot of
Do we
things.
have something in place? Like, I'm so paranoid about the government doing anything that I'm like, Mom, you don't need to. I just don't want anything messed up because even I get on there and make some random thing.
So
and it makes money, like.
Yeah, I mean, here's what you got to watch out for, basically. First and foremost, when it comes to, basically making money online, all that stuff is super traceable now. So just be aware of that. The second thing, too, to keep in mind is that you have certain restrictions with SSDI. You have, everybody's calling it. You have SGA limitations, substantial gainful activity. So write that one down. You got to learn about SGA. You have a.
I've got all your abbreviations.
Good. So you got the SGA limitation. You've got the 9-month trial work period, the TWP. You've got the extended eligibility period program. You've got the ticket to work program option, but they're not going to let you do that for an Etsy gig. But basically, bottom line is, you can do it. You can earn some money. You just have to be careful. And remember, earning more and more money tends to trigger CDRs.
Well, that's what I was wondering, and just tell me if this is, I don't know. Okay, let's say me and her, we made LLC? Is that something that people can do? Or, like, if she made her LLC and then we have our trust fund, would that protect anything that was made?
Okay, so what you're talking about is, will the government pierce the veil of the LLC as to earnings potentially paid to you but not logged through the system, not flowing essentially in the form of payroll? Is that what you're asking me?
I have no idea.
Because that's basically, I'm saying, like, if the company's under my mother's name, or if my mother just is doing stuff, like, I don't know when certain, I'm terrified something's going to go viral or something else, and she's going to make a whole bunch of money, and then if something happens to her and that falls on me, and I just want it to be safe somewhere.
Well, look. If any of it's countable income, you take it in, it converts to a resource the next month, you just get hit for 1 month. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. You're SSDI. If it's SSI, it's the end of the world. If it's SSDI, it's not the end of the world. The point here is, if you make a product that goes viral, you know, and all the money clumps together, and then she passes away and the product doesn't get made anymore, that's not a big deal. But if you continue that product, continue making that item, continue to push forward, and you have a lot of income coming in every single month, and you are like the person that's making it at this company, then the SSA has a lot of rules and regulations that have a lot of leeway to their benefit as to how they can calculate SGA for a self-employed person. So that's a different question. And then what a lot of people like to do is they like to attribute basically those earnings against massive deductions to go ahead and make those products, because that's when you do. When you own a business, basically you have to consider all the deductions to go ahead and make that product. And then, that's not income to you. Those are essentially things you had to spend to make the product to go ahead and make it work. So look, here's what you need to do. You're going to need a trust fund. If you want to make an Etsy and something goes really wild, you've got to ask yourself, are you the one that's going to be making it, or is your mom going to be the one that makes it? And then basically after she passes away, it ends? Or is this a thing where you're making it and, the SSA can then look at this and say, well, we think you're earning SGA, therefore we're going to cut you off?
No, this is basically a thing where we're making it, if anything, together, because it's like sometimes I help her glue stuff. Like, it's just, I don't know how you would consider that. I do most of the computer stuff, but, I'm not doing it all myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's wanting to do, what was it? Something, she's trying to get into this. I know this all sounds so weird. I am so sorry. I appreciate you so much. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
No, you're the most helpful person on YouTube, I swear.
Oh, thank you.
I swear I've listened to you help so many people.
Oh.
I'm just, I don't know.
Do you want to think about it and then hit me up next week, or?
I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably have to do that. I've got down that, I know everything online is super traceable. That's one thing I was thinking of. And that's why I was just wondering if I needed somebody, like a CPA or something else, financial person that should take care of all of this. Or would that put me back in the position of like having a payee?
Okay, so here's, all right. Let's pretend. So, and this is not the first time I've had this question. So I just want to, no, you're fine. This is not the first time I've had this question. I have had this question from a lot of cool people who have inventions, people who want to sell legal products, all kinds of stuff. I've had this question many times. What you need to be careful of is how you calculate your payroll, and that you have a company actually do the payroll so that all the proper federal forms are done, and that the payroll that you are paying yourself is reasonable for the actions that you're doing to create the money. Because if you don't, the SSA is going to come out with their own math, and that's going to hurt you in a huge, huge way.
Okay. So if she is going to sell stuff online, she does need to make a company in order for us to be able to cover it all and make it safe.
Well, you always want an LLC in case somebody swallows the product, it explodes inside them, and it's a terrible day. You always want a little limited liability company. You always want some sort of form of insurance. But look, if we're talking about, what were they, glow sticks or glue sticks? What were they?
Oh, no, not glue stick. Like if she's making crafts and she's like gluing something to something, that's what I was talking about. Like I might hold this while she's gluing something together, or because it's Etsy. Like, she was making little. I know this all sounds insane. I had a payee for so long.
Sure.
It took forever to get out from under it for no reason. And then now I'm just paranoid because I know the government knows everything. And my worst nightmare is that, she makes $1 million and then it's like, oh crap. And I know that shouldn't be scary, but I know the way everything is set up with the medical and the helpful welfare programs and all of this, that that it's going to totally backfire if anything she does that is making her happy actually does good. Does that make sense?
So, okay.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I just don't want.
Right. I got
a
you.
hobby to blow up my life.
Are you the one producing the crafts?
No, like not. They're not my idea. Like I help her do her thing.
But how do you help her
But
do
now
her thing?
she's wanting, like I said, like help her physically hold it together while the glue is drying or
Okay.
something like that.
So you're physically building the crafts, whether it's you or her combined, right?
Right.
Okay. So the point of this is basically that if you are assisting her and a true employee, I mean, look, you could claim donating time for a very short period of time. You can be an intern at this place, but the bottom line is just make sure you do payroll correctly. And remember, she's making crafts. Like, those businesses take years to take off. So, it's just not like she's going to make something and, all of a sudden every keychain that she's ever made is selling off the Etsy page. These things take time.
No,
so.
I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just like my worst nightmare, and I wanted to be prepared
Gotcha.
in case it happened.
Gotcha.
But I know that sounds crazy, but
yeah, but I hear you. Let me grab the next caller so that I can get maybe one or two more in before the end of the night. But I will catch you.
Your help.
Yeah, absolutely. I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, and just catch up with me in the future with any additional details. We'll go from there. Yeah.
Okay, I might send you an email.
Perfect. Sounds good. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you so much. You're great.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Excellent, guys. We're going to go ahead and let me get the next phone call coming up real quick. Hold on. Let me get this thing rolling. One second. Here we go. We got the next one coming in. Now we are on speaker. And we're not on speaker. Now we're on speaker. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions?
Yes, my name is Diana Ross. I have a question.
Perfect.
Okay, the question is, could you hear me?
I can barely hear you. It's super quiet.
Hold on, could you hear me now?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
Could you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, could Chat GPT be used against us if we're on disability and we're calling to Chat GPT? They can turn around and say, well, you're able to do work. Do you understand what I'm asking you?
Well, I mean, Chat GPT is an automated service provider that basically, handles answering questions with AI. So, I mean, if you're saying that is making you money, but you're not actually doing the work, that's like a higher level appellate law question of like, are you actually doing work, or are you using other things to create money? That would fall into like the SSA would have to figure out what the value of your work is to establish whether SGA has been met.
Yeah, well, would they be able to turn around and say that you're able to be gainfully employed because of chat? Because it does assist you in doing some things. So would they be able to use that to kick people off?
Yeah.
Say that you can be gainfully employed because you're using Chat GPT to help you make income, even though you might have significant disabilities.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're earning over SGA and there's not enough deductions, or there's not enough things that you can put onto the non-countable, absolutely. Like, there's stock people that, although stocks are a bad example because, basically that's not considered your traditional, countable yada yada. But there are a lot of businesses out there. Well, any business uses a client management system or a POS, a point of sales point of sales program where, they take their payments. They all use programs to assist with, automating, business functions. So yeah, absolutely. That's just another tool that's going to take off and be wildly popular at answering people's questions and being able to provide information. But yeah, if you're pulling in money and that money is directly attributable to you, then it could be over SGA for earned income.
Oh, okay. But what about for them to say, do they always kick you off because you're over the limit, or could they say that you're able to function, you're able to do certain tasks now because of Chat GPT? That's the question I'm asking. I'm not talking about being over the certain amount, making over a certain amount. I'm talking about just them saying, well, you're able to function and you're able to work now because Chat GPT assists people. So
that's a
could
big
that be
question.
used to kick people off? Not only could it be used as a spying tool, but could it be used to kick people off because people who are not able to do certain jobs and things because of their disability, would they be able to say, well, because of Chat GPT, you have been empowered to do so?
That's a very big question. So let me try and summarize it down because holy cannoli, that's a huge question. What you're asking me is, with the advancement of response-based artificial intelligence, would that assist disabled people enough to the point where they would no longer be considered disabled because they could use that digital asset to fix the limitations of a disabled person to the point where they would no longer be disabled under their rules and regulations? Is that the question?
Exactly.
Woo,
like
boy.
That little book, like that little book you talked about a couple of days ago, even if some of the stuff is outdated, they still use some things to try and kick you off.
Yeah.
Or could they use this Chat GPT to do the same thing?
Yeah, they could. I mean, look, here's the deal. They're close to coming out with a new dictionary of occupational titles, a new book on all the jobs that are available and how to define them. But the reality is, look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, and maybe I should do a video on it, but I don't want to cause like massive hysteria because people lose their bleep and then they call the firm during the 9 to 5 and scream at my employees. So that's not good either. But let me tell you the problem that we're facing. People can be found not disabled through a CDR in many ways. The traditional is basically where they medically are no longer as severe as they used to be, whether it's one impairment or multiple impairments that makes them so severe. The other way is through no response, right? You don't respond to a letter they send you. You don't interact with them. You get basically a technical kick out, right? They're kicking your butt out of the benefits because you just didn't interact with them in the manner which they needed, right? You didn't respond to them in a timely fashion. But the one that we don't talk about usually, because I don't like to go into it because people lose their minds, is something you're directly asking me about. But yes, there is a future 200 years from now, maybe more, where there are no people on disability benefits. And the reality of that is that the technology will get so helpful that people will be able to do functions that which they normally could not do with their impairments. And medical treatment will get so massively ahead of where it's currently at that in the future, people with whatever impairments they are will be able to genetically be rebuilt so that they have a fighting chance to go ahead and be competitive in the open market. And now all of those things, just so you know, become important because we ultimately end up with a society of people who don't have to work because essentially all of our needs are met by us medically having treatment and the machines do the work that we need them to do. You know, a lot of people don't think about this world, but there is a world where you don't have to take trash out. There's a world where you don't have to go grocery shopping. There's a world where you can travel anywhere and it doesn't really cost anything because, you know, the power source is cold fusion and it's good. And the food is made from machines that pull the elements directly out of the air and make the product. And then you open the door and you eat it. So the reality is that there's a world where machines are so efficient at creating the things that we usually need that bottom line is we won't have essentially the need to work anymore. And when we get to that point, the future of the human race will be more about discovery, will be more about adventure, enjoying life, celebrating life, extending life. But we're not there yet. We're in the creating people to work, to be slaves to the United States government so that the government can basically borrow against our work product, which is what the debt limit is. A lot of people don't realize, but the debt limit, guys, just if you're wondering, every year they have to raise the debt limit, borrow more money, and they're borrowing money against our worth as far as what we can work and earn. So putting it another way, if you went to go get a loan, like for a house, and you had to put up collateral, the collateral would be like your car or another house that you own or like some fancy watch or whatever. Well, the collateral of the United States so that other countries will lend the money is basically the American citizens and what they can work and earn. And so the greatest debt holder in America are the American citizens, and they keep borrowing against our ability to basically work and earn, which is when they require so many immigrants coming into the United States because they need so many people working and paying more taxes to keep it rolling, because the fertility rate is so low between, younger generations. It's not like Little House on the Prairie where everybody's having a Brady Bunch, So the bottom line is you are correct. And maybe I should do a video on it. I mean, it's going to scare a lot of people, but the reality is look, the moment you get artificial intelligence down and the moment you get mechanized, robots to the point where they can go ahead and do a lot of the household functions. Once you get household functions down, then you get work functions, and then you don't need loaders, you don't need shippers, you don't need basically people working on a lathe, working on some metal shaping machine. Once you have all of that, once you're at that point, you just need basically scientists, and you won't even need a lot of medical personnel.
I'm very concerned because I feel like it's going to end up being like the have or the have not. And then if there are any jobs, I feel like these robots or AI, they are the ones who would be our supervisors. They are the ones who would be making. Well, they're not working because the government nobody has to pay them. So would we be like the peasants, basically?
Well, they already are our supervisors.
They would be the intelligent ones.
Yeah, but they already are our supervisors. How many people work for some company where they're tracking their mouse clicks? How many people work for some company where they're tracking their time on the computer? How many people work for some company where they're following how many times they close a deal with some program? The programs are our supervisors. That's why we don't have middle management jobs anymore, because we don't need middle managers, because the programs do the functions of the middle manager.
Wow. So they just get rid of jobs.
Well, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you, are you still online right now? Because I have another question to ask.
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
Okay, well, do I have time, like 2 more minutes, 1 more minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, real quick. I just got a statement to make, if it's okay to make it real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
In your earlier video, we were talking about no, you should not. I feel like no, you should not. You asked a question, and I just want to make a real quick comment. I feel like you should not, even though I'm not on drugs or anything like that, I just feel like you should not shame people who use drugs because they are aware that they have issues. And as you were saying, there are people who function on different levels and have a job, even though they have drugs. But you have attorneys, you have doctors, whoever, who have issues, but they're still able to function to some extent. But the main question is, if an individual, if they are not able to function, and if they have significant brain damage, would they qualify for disability? The question is yes. I feel like they would qualify because they have something, whether it's their fault or not, they're not able to function. But then on the other hand, people may ask, should the society pay for someone else's negligence? But then we have to ask ourselves, what if a person is driving too fast and they get in an accident and they were still negligent and they become totally disabled? Should they be able to be on Social Security disability, but yet a person who has significant issues, brain damage or whatever, because of their disability, that they shouldn't be on it? So it's just a very tricky question.
Well, there's an easy answer to it, and the answer is it's called the DAA rule, which is basically drugs and alcohol. And we have what's called a materiality test. And I should have put that in the prior video. I wanted to get to the questions, and I hate when I spend a ton of time right up front basically doing like a big video and then I don't get to run questions, because I don't think that's fair to people who log in on Thursday nights. I'm like, but your question is amazingly on point. I mean, thank you for asking it. It's perfect, literally perfect to follow up with this video. If a drug causes you to go from a moderate impairment to a severe impairment, right? So if a drug causes your impairment to be, normally if you weren't on drugs, it would just be moderate. But if that drug then takes you to a severe level, then that drug is material to causing your severe impairment, and you will not get disability benefits. But if your impairment is severe without the drug and with the drug, then you will be found disabled. I mean, they'll give you a payee and they'll watch you, but you'll be found disabled.
What about the person if they have a child and the child was predisposed to the drug in the womb, say a crack baby or something?
Yeah.
A baby is innocent. Now, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm for people just being reckless and then jumping on Social Security and taking away from people who worked hard to get what they have to get. I'm not saying that, but it's just a question. I was just kind of wondering, could it be argued in their favor? That's all. Not that I'm necessarily saying, I just wondering, could it be still argued in their favor, a person who has drugs? Because I'm really not for it. If a person works hard all their life and then there's not enough benefits because you say so many people have addictions. So it's just a question I have. And then if you have a baby and the baby is a crack baby from the womb and the person grows up, would that person be allowed to receive benefits?
Yeah. And what they do with the child, just so you know, from a practical standpoint, is they treat the child medically. And then basically if the child has impairments, they also chemically treat the child because of, the predisposed need. But absolutely, if the child's born with a genetic defect, congenital, something where basically mentally or physically there's an issue that would put them at the point where they can't function, a lung problem, a blood problem, any option, special senses problem, whatever, then absolutely that child will be found disabled, and they will go on to, in that case, SSI. Yeah.
Thank you. You answered my question. So the parent may not, but the child could. Okay.
Correct.
Basically, it depends on the system. Well, thank you. Diana Ross signing out. That's all I have. Some questions. Have a good night.
Perfect. Thank you, madam. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, guys, we're going to do one more question because here's the thing. I ate an entire, full, giant, large popcorn at the Avatar movie, and I'm feeling the effects of that. So we're going to be doing one more question. Here we go. All right, we are live. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live right now. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
My name's Pollyanna. I was a registered nurse for 30 years. I had a brain tumor, and I've had 3 surgeries. I have seizures, and I take meds that are interfering with my daily life. I was wondering what you think the chances would be that I would be approved for disability.
Okay, cool. Let's run through it. What's your current age?
I'm 59.
You're 59 years old. Tell me about your current standing when it comes to mental cognitive abilities. Are you able to, follow 1 to 3 steps, 4 to 6 steps? Are you able to do recipes, things like that?
Not very well, because I'm having post-ictal seizures in my brain. I don't notice them, but they're in there. They're subclinical. I've been in the hospital several times for them to check them out, and I have several medications I take to prevent seizures.
How many seizures do you have per month? Yeah.
Well, we really don't know because I have no symptoms. They're post-ictal, so they're in my brain. Sometimes I'm having seizures, but the subclinical seizures affect my ability to think when I'm having them. So I sometimes get disoriented, especially if I'm doing a task, like writing a list or something like that.
Okay. So when it comes to tests, and I guess that's really where I should have started, what tests have they done so far to track what's going on?
I've been in the hospital for a month, and they put in some wires with a computer and left them in for a while, and then they tried to remove the last part of the tumor, but it's wrapped around one of the major veins in my brain.
Not good.
So anyway, I went in just recently in the end of September to have another monitoring for a week, and that's where they found all these subclinical seizures, and they saw a few of them on camera.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, that's one impairment. What impairments are we looking at? What other impairments?
That plus I have anxiety to go anywhere because I'm afraid I'll hit my head, and I can't drive. So it's very difficult for me to get to appointments and stuff. And sometimes I'm pretty sad because I used to be a very functional person, and this was a sudden illness.
What was the last day that you worked?
I worked on October 4th, 2021.
Okay. Who's currently financially supporting you?
Well, I do receive long-term disability benefits that I had paid for through my employer. So I'm receiving those. And I applied for SSDI in April of 2022.
So you haven't gotten your first denial yet?
No, I have not.
All right. This is a very likely claim to be approved.
Okay.
The big things are okay. So let me ask you this. When it comes to, doing functions and stuff like that, you've cut off all work. You're not currently working. There's no prison or
No.
recent jail, anything like that?
No, I am not. But one of the medications affects my balance.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. So we're trying to adjust that one so that I may be able to at least not fall over.
Okay. Are you still driving?
No.
Do you live on a
haven't
one-story or
driven since.
two-story dwelling?
A one-story. I do have steps coming up to the one-story. There's 6 steps.
And what have they prescribed you to be able to ambulate over those?
They are reducing one of my meds and increasing one of the other medications.
This is a claim that should go through. I would be very surprised if this claim doesn't go through. You're really close to the 60+ category. And if there's any issues or whatever, you could always essentially change it. You don't have any new work, no little jobs, no whatevers. You don't have any failed work attempts because you just couldn't do them. There needs to be more investment in figuring out what's going on inside your brain. So when are the bigger tests being scheduled to figure out functional capacity, matter, all that stuff? Yeah.
Well, they're considering doing a 3rd brain surgery, but when I was just in the hospital, they monitored me for a week, and that's where they found all this issue. And I do see my doctor on a very regular basis, my neurologist and my neurosurgeon.
Okay. Now, as a side note, the SSA tends to look at 3 failed surgeries as pretty automatic approval kind of thing. If it limits your abilities to severe functional, where you can't function to do basic mental or physical tasks.
Okay.
All right. So the questions that they're going to try and, hit you with, though, are, what are you capable of doing around your house? And therefore, you're mentally capable of doing other things. So when you had that 3373 form, what did you say you could do?
I have a difficulty lifting things because I'm not supposed to bend down and stand up because of the pressure I have in my brain. So, and it's very, I get very stressed out taking a shower, and I can't see it peripherally out of my left eye, so I tend to not be able to grab things, and I bump into things on the left, like doorways and stuff like that.
Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at here, the way I look at this situation, the way I see this is, did you say that you had the capacity to do anything on that 3373 form, whether it's, hobbies, tasks, laundry, cooking, etc.?
I have difficulty cooking, but I can't remember what I put on it because it was in April of 2022.
Yeah, that's
and
wild.
Since then, I've had more complications, and so that's where I am now.
Okay. Who lives with you that is assisting you?
My daughter lives here. She's 19, but she's attending nursing school, and she's about to move out.
So have you filled out has she filled out a 3380 as to how she assists you?
No, I don't think so.
All right, go get a 3380 from her about all the things she does to assist you on your daily activities. That's going to be crucial. The other thing is you're going to need an RFC letter from a specialist related to the brain issues and functional, cognitive limitations. The other thing that might be helpful for this is like a sleep study, because you want to show that you're not able to have proper sleep, therefore not able to do a job. That way you can at least get a vocational allowance out of it. You're going to be a listing level, or not a listing level. You're going to be a grid out no matter what because of the age. I can't promise they're going to do that, but that's what I would shoot for. Yeah, but start getting those things and getting that rolling. But I tell you what, we're at 9:58 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and take a break for tonight. But you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, look, if you get a denial, call me, but work on those so that you have the highest chance of being found disabled at the initial filing level. Yeah. Okay.
You said a 3380 for my daughter. What was the other thing you said?
3380, you're going to want to get a sleep study. You're also going to want to get an RFC, a physician statement, or a residual functional capacity. So a physician statement or a residual functional capacity form.
Okay. Mutual. Okay, I think I got that. I don't know, but the sleep study, they had me monitored for a week just recently, and they had cameras and video on me the whole time. So they monitored pretty good. I had all my vital signs being monitored, and I was in a special unit
Perfect.
at the hospital. So
Excellent. 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 Well, Madame, I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night.
okay, thank you very much. Can I ask you when I could get my Medicare through there? Because I still haven't paid insurance, and they said I had to wait 2 years from the date I applied.
Yeah, so that's one of the shittiest rules they have. I don't know why we keep
Okay.
it, but bottom line is from the date you're all right. So here's another thing. You have to make sure that you are setting your alleged onset date as the month after the last month, as the month after the last month that you earned over SGA. So let me say it
Okay.
again. You have to amend your alleged onset date to be the
Okay.
month after the last month that you earned SGA.
Okay. All right. I got you. And thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking my call. I appreciate it
Yeah.
very much.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Okay. Have a good one too.
Thank
All right,
you.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So guys, I'm really, really excited to say that I'm going to go and detox from the massive amount of popcorn that I had enjoyed. I put so much oil on it that if I don't wake up with some sort of cancerous problem as a result of it, or at least oil popping through my skin, then I have apparently, you know, they've veganized the oil that they put on the popcorn. So, and then the worst part was they didn't even make me work for the salt. Like they had this little salt shaker with a little like nubbin thing where you just pop it up like it's a Gatorade thing. I was just like, let me rock this thing. Let me put some salt on these puppies. And I tried them like this popcorn doesn't have anything on it. Shame. Shame to these people. I haven't been to a movie theater in forever, so I dressed it up right. Anyways, I will catch you guys later. You have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging in there. And I will catch you either tomorrow or Saturday. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.